What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Conversations, and today's been an interesting day. In fact, this entire week has been really interesting. A lot of stuff behind the scenes that has been going on, a lot of changes here in the content creation space for pro wrestling, and just figuring out how to navigate this space right now. It's just been a very interesting week, but I've been feeling something for like the last 2, maybe even 3 months, something that a lot of creators tend to feel as well. And it's because, well, let's just also face it, like we don't take the best care of ourselves, generally speaking. Like sitting in front of a computer screen for hours and hours on end every single day probably isn't the healthiest thing in the world. But I'm here to talk about burnout and what burnout is and what it's all about and how do we navigate this tricky thing that nearly every single content creator out there deals with. And maybe if you're a viewer, it'll give you some insight into what happens with a lot of your favorite creators, reactors, whatever you want to call us. It's just influencers, let's just say. Every single one of us deal with burnout on a very, very frequent basis. And how we approach it, how we navigate it is the difference between posting a video and not posting a video that day. So we'll get into this thing. Obviously, this entire week, there's been so many things going on with the TikTok takedowns of, I got a copyright strike on one of my videos. I know Mr. Tesh got 2 copyright strikes. I know Alan Owens got 2 copyright strikes. And then Mr. Santizap got completely banned off of TikTok. There's some stuff, people are looking into it. I don't know if this is necessarily the end of the reactions on TikTok. It may very well be, and it might also not be, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter, because if TikTok doesn't sell by January, it's done anyways. So it might just be a matter of time before the reaction game on TikTok is truly done. It might be over now, or it might not be, but yeah, it's just a very weird week trying to figure out how to navigate this space. What the future of wrestling reaction content is going to look like and all of that. But the good news is, over the last year, I have done a really good job of expanding away from just being on TikTok. And like, I'm lucky in the sense that I grew on YouTube first. I started here on YouTube. Most of my audience watches me on YouTube. Like, they are very established in that way of my live streams. But for other people who are dealing with these bans, TikTok is like their main platform, and it still is technically my main platform. It's the one that I get the most amount of views on. It's the one that I get the most amount of interaction on and all of that. But it at the end of the day, it is just TikTok, and I mostly look at it as like a place that I could upload some reaction content, and maybe people will see my reactions and want to come into the live streams and experience it in live time, right? So it's not that big of a deal for me if it happens to go away, although I will be sad for everybody who does consume the content that way. So just figuring out how we're going to navigate that space is certainly an interesting one. But when things like this happen, when negative stuff happens in content creation, it's very easy to go into a downward spiral. And I talked about this in my last podcast. The entire journey for me as a content creator has not been a smooth one at all. From 2017 dealing with the adpocalypse, to a pandemic in there, to a copyright strike from AEW, to just dealing with the shifting landscape of pro wrestling content. That's been a thing I've been dealing with my entire life. So what I'm dealing right now with the whole TikTok stuff ain't too bad for me. But when stuff like this happens, I notice it especially with some other creators who maybe haven't gone through this type of stuff before. It's very noticeable that a creator gets some bad news and it spirals. And then they got thinking about, how can I navigate this? How can I make this better for myself? And sometimes it's just out of your control and there's not much you can do. You just have to shift content. And people become so entrenched in the way that they do content that they're like, well, I can't change things up. I'll lose my entire audience and this won't work because it's not what I do. Well, then we just got to find something else for you to do, right? Something else that will change your motivation, something else that will engage the viewers that you already have. If it's not working anymore, it's not working, and you got to switch things up. And adapting is key, otherwise you get left behind. But I know it's not easy, right? Because when you start to see something bad happen, when you see your main source of views go down, or when you see a strike happen and you're like, damn, if I lose this, I lose everything. You should definitely just make sure that you're branching out. And that's one of the best things I've been able to do over the last year is branch out, expand my YouTube content, expand my Twitch content, expand. I've got Patreon now. I've got, gosh, what else do I have? I have a second YouTube channel. I forgot about that. Yeah, we got Conman Reacts over there as well. The Twitter game is growing. Instagram is growing. And it just, the fact that I'm no longer putting all my eggs into one basket, and I haven't been for the better part of a year, year and a half, has been great. And if I didn't do that, what is happening right now with the TikTok stuff would scare the hell out of me. I'd be legitimately thinking, good, is this it? Like, am I done? Is this over? You know, and so I understand if anybody is feeling those concerns with everything up in the air right now, but just try to find ways to innovate your content. Try to find ways to change things up, to stand out from the pack. And if that's just one extra thing a week, you know, like, for example, all right, I'm not trying to say I'm doing it perfectly, but I'm doing something right. For example, if I take a look at everybody else in the space, you know, everybody else who is doing what I do, reacting to wrestling content, posting onto TikTok, posting onto Instagram, tweeting away, making videos, all of that. What is the one thing that none of them do that I have decided to do? Nobody did a damn 3-minute review. So I said, screw it. I'll do a 3-minute review, a quick little catch up. And those things have been popping off over on TikTok. And I'm glad I've incorporated it into my, whatever you want to call it, into like my set of schedules. What's the word? My repertoire of videos? I don't freaking know. The thing that does the stuff. All right. That's nice and accurate. I love that. There we go. The thing that does the stuff. But I changed something up. I added something new, and it's been successful to a moderate degree. But that doesn't mean that, you know, it's like, that's the best thing I could have done. Is that the best use of my time? Who knows? And the only way I would learn is by trying different things. But when you try new things like that, when you go out of your box and you try different stuff, it gives you the ability to learn if you actually enjoy what it is that you do right now. Because some people get stuck in their way and they're like, man, I don't know if I love this anymore. That's what burnout is, right? Like, burnout is listed as a state of complete mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. If you're experiencing burnout, you may notice it is difficult to engage in activities you normally find meaningful. You may no longer care about the things that are important to you or experience an increasing sense of hopelessness. That's what a lot of creators feel like when a series isn't working, or when they put all their time and effort into something that is repetitive every single week. You lose motivation for it. You lose the drive to make it want to be better. I know for a fact that this happened for me with just live streaming. For a long time, and I mean a really long time, I just streamed. That's it. I just didn't make videos. I didn't post on TikTok. I didn't post on Instagram. And I would be live Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night NXT, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday NXT, Friday SmackDown, Saturday Collision. Sorry, SmackDown and Rampage, and then Saturday Collision. And then sometimes you'd have a WWE PLE in there. That was not sustainable. Not even at all, not even in the tiniest little bit, especially for somebody who is getting married in less than a year, 9 months, goodness gracious. But that was not sustainable, being live at 8 p.m. every single night, weekdays and weeknights. Like, Jesus Christ, man. No wonder I was burnt out. No wonder I felt like I couldn't do anything. No wonder like I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do any activities, couldn't hang out with friends, couldn't see my fiance. She's a teacher. She teaches during the day, gets home, and I had 2 hours with her before I had to go to work. And then just that wasn't sustainable at all. So like, no wonder, like about a year and a half ago, I was sitting here like, can I keep doing this? Is this possible for me to keep doing? The answer was no, not like that, because I was burnt out. Had to establish a different way to do things. And so I started looking into, okay, well, what if I like drop one live stream a week? And not always the same live stream, but, you know, swap it up a little bit. Sometimes you'll do NXT, sometimes you'll do AEW, and then no longer needing to do a Saturday night stream unless it's a PLE. Okay, awesome. That makes things a little bit easier. But how am I going to offset that? What am I going to bring in? How am I going to approach videos now? Because I need something to fill those days. And then that's when, I started looking into more video concepts and how I could expand into video content creation. And it wasn't until I got my editor that I could actually truly lean into that. Shout out to editor Jay. You have been a lifesaver, brother. But the burnout was real. And dropping those things, dropping the live streams that didn't really work, I guess, for me, helped balance my work-home life. It gave me more time with my fiance. It gave me more time to just cook dinner. You know what I mean? Like, just to be able to cook dinner and eat semi-properly. The amount of stuff that I was ordering when I was streaming 6 to 7 days a week was ridiculous. I was just ordering food all the time. And it's like, that's not healthy. No wonder you feel like shit. No wonder you feel bad because you're eating like garbage. And then you're not taking care of your body because you're streaming at like crazy times. And then you're going really late into the night. And then you're not getting a good night's sleep. And then you're waking up feeling tired. And then you're starting all over again. Like, it was a vicious cycle. It needed to change. And if you're wondering what the hell I'm trying to say, what is it that I'm trying to get across here, is that burnout comes in all these different shapes and sizes. And it's how you approach it, and it's what you change that is going to dictate if burnout is going to get better for you. Doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity, is it not? Something like that? Expecting the same result, but doing the same thing over and over again? Or a different result? I butchered the hell out of that. A different result, but doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, like something like that. That's like the definition of insanity. And like, you could say that a lot of streamers are insane, or a lot of creators are insane because of that, because they're just literally pounding their head against a brick wall, hoping that by doing the exact same thing, something's going to change. It's just not. That's just not how it goes. You got to switch things up. You got to move and grow with the times. If you don't grow, well, you'll get left behind. Somebody will surpass you. Point example right here. It's a very good example. With me doing this for so long, I didn't evolve for a long period of time. I was the #1 wrestling reactor streamer, at least I believe, for most shows. Sometimes, I'd be #2, but most of the time it was #1. I was the most viewed, whether it be across all my platforms or even on just one single one. I was towards the top, but I didn't innovate. I didn't change a lot of things. I was just reacting to the shows. And then slowly but surely, people who were doing different things, uploading wrestling videos and streaming and then uploading clips and all of that, started to surpass me. And it was like, hold up. I got to change. I got to grow. I can't just stay in my way right here. I can't just keep doing the exact same thing. Otherwise, I'm going to feel incredibly burnt out like I already was. And I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to move forward. It's like the hamster wheel. You're just on it and you're just going, but you're not moving at all. That's what it was kind of like, and that's what burnout can leave you feeling. It leaves you questioning a whole bunch of things like, am I doing it right? What else do I need to do? If you're asking yourself these questions, they're probably the right questions to ask, right? But how do you approach it? How do you get through it, right? And what is it that you have to do in order to get yourself into a headspace that you're like, I can make a change? Well, if you're asking me, and I don't know if you are or not, it's totally up to you. You're listening to me, so I think you might be asking. But what is it that I do in order to get myself into a proper headspace where I can make those changes, where I can be invigorated to go back to work and just try new things, try different series, try different streams, you name it, right? What is it that I do? Well, a lot of the time, I make sure that I just take a little bit of time whenever I can. And I'm not saying that it's every single week. I wish it was. But whenever I have a few hours that I'm like, I have nothing to do right now, I don't try to add on to it. All right. I don't sit here and say, how can I fill that time? What could I be doing to do more for my channel right here? If I have 2 hours on a Wednesday night with no stream and I've spent some time with my fiance and we've made dinner and she's gone to bed, I'm not sitting there saying, what can I do right now to increase my workflow, or can I do better at my job or whatever? No, I'm saying what I need to do to manage my burnout. It is some time for myself, whether it be playing a video game, whether it be watching a TV show I haven't had the chance to watch in a little bit, taking my dog for a walk, maybe seeing some friends, like if I have the ability to just call up a buddy and say, hey, what you doing tonight? You want to go grab a drink? That's a really good thing as well. Anything that is something for you, just you, something that you will get enjoyment out of, that is not work. It's not for somebody else. It's not trying to, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. You have to be able to do something for yourself. And a lot of people that I've talked to who experience burnout don't do something for themselves. A lot of people say, I don't have the time for that. A lot of people will be like, no, that's just not possible with my schedule. That's when you have to make time for it. Look, I know it sounds lame saying make time to go play video games or make time to spend time with your dog or go for a walk or see some friends or watch TV, right? It sounds like, man, that's a waste of time. But trust me when I tell you that if you do something for you, maybe play a board game, maybe read, I don't know. But when you do something for yourself, you come back feeling so much better. You really do. It's just that little refresh button. It's that thing that you're feeding yourself, that you're starving for, but you don't always get the chance to consume, right? If you love a good book, but if you're thinking to yourself, I haven't read in a year, man, I just haven't had the time. That's because you haven't made the time for it, right? It's because it's difficult. Life is busy. But like, if you don't do the things that give you joy, of course you're not going to experience joy. That's just how it is. And a lot of people don't experience joy because they're burnt out with work and they're just always focused on what I have to do with work. What do I have to do tomorrow? What do I have to do around this house? And it's just like all these crazy things going on in their head that we can't manage. And all you got to do is take some time for yourself. It's okay to take a little step back and say, hey, I need a breather here. I need a breather. But all of that being said right there, right? How do we still continue to do all of that stuff while making sure that we don't miss out on uploads or streams? Like, I'm talking specifically to creators now. That was kind of generalized. A lot of people could probably take that advice. But for creators yourself, right? You are your own boss. There is nobody, or at least unless you work for somebody who is telling you to create content. But for creators, you are your own boss. You're the only one out there who is telling you to get to work. The worst thing that can happen if you don't show up is you don't get paid. It's not like you're going to get fired. It's not like the internet won't be there for you when you get back. Truly nothing really happens if you miss a day of work as a streamer / content creator. But if you are then saying that I upload daily videos, you don't get that day off, right? You don't get that opportunity to say, I'm not going to be here. If your thing is that you, for example, I live stream Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, NXT. If I'm looking at that and I say, man, I don't want to show up to this week's Raw and then next week's SmackDown and then probably 2 NXTs in a row, then I'm not going to do that pay-per-view. People are going to choose to watch somebody else, right? So you do have to figure out a way to manage both. You have to be able to say, okay, well, if I'm going to need tomorrow night off, if I need to miss a Wednesday stream or a Tuesday stream or whatever, and I have a bunch of videos that I could record, maybe I will pre-record some videos, get those uploaded, and that way I can have a full day off the next day and I can completely focus on my mental health, or I can go catch up on whatever chores that I have around the house. You know what I mean? There's ways that you can plan your week ahead of you in order to be able to still deliver the content, but take the breaks that you need in order to be able to do that content to the best of your ability. Look, it is part of being a creator, right? You manage your own schedule. You are your own boss. You choose if you do or don't show up to work. It's as simple as that, right? But it's so easy to slip into that mentality if you let yourself, right? It's so easy to then say, anytime I'm feeling a little down about content creation, that I can just take that day off. That's no big deal. And then, oh, well, I'll take that day off now, right? Do what you need to do, right? Don't take this as me saying don't take days off if you need them, but manage them, right? Manage your days. Like, take a real good look at your schedule and say, okay, this day I want off. I want this time block off to do nothing, or I want to catch up on errands or what have you. Look at your schedule, plan that, and then say, okay, well, I'm going to record 2 videos this day so that I can have that day completely off. And then, oh, well, I've got this big long stream here, so that means that I can take this day off over here, and I will get everything done on this day so that Friday I have absolutely nothing. I think you get what I'm throwing down. There's just ways to manage schedules that really do help out the burnout. And a lot of creators do struggle with that. So I hope I haven't rambled too much. I feel like sometimes I know what I'm talking about, and then other times I'm just like, damn, did that make any sense? So you'll have to let me know down in the comments if what I talked about here today makes a lick of sense or not. But it's a difficult thing to deal with, and a lot of people don't truly understand until they are in this position. Now, I really want to get this across. I'm not sitting here pretending like this job right here of being a streamer is more difficult than like most jobs out there that actually have to leave the house and go places and work a 9 to 5 and be mentally exhausted for the whole day, working for somebody that you don't want to, dealing with BS. I get that. All right. I understand that a content creator's job is a glamorous one from the outside, right? And saying the negative aspects of it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm complaining about this job, because I freaking love what it is I do. And most of the creators that you watch out there love what they get to do as well. And we are so incredibly blessed to be in this position. So please don't take this as me complaining too much about the job. It is a part of the job, dealing with burnout, just like burnout is a part of every other job out there. The only difference is that if people who work for other individuals, if you don't show up to your job, you get fired, right? That is a thing, and so there's that driving motivation to not get fired by showing up. Now, when you show up to work, you might not always put in the best day's work, right? You might not always be on the entire day. You might not want to put 100% in. That doesn't work for content creation. If you don't put 100% on, if you're not into what it is you're talking about, so many people are going to see through it, and it's not going to make for a good viewing experience. So if you're not completely on, it's difficult to show up to a stream, or it's difficult to show up to a video because you don't want to deal with that BS, but sometimes you got to. So push yourself, all right? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Push yourself to be the best you possibly can be, but also take care of yourself. Find the balance in life. Find how you're going to be able to deliver all the content that you want to deliver so that you could be the biggest creator of this world, of this year. You're the next Mr. Beast, maybe. I don't know. Probably not a great example anymore. But like, if you push yourself, you can be the best version of yourself. And like, that's what I just want to see from everybody out there. I don't want to see you get burnt out. I don't want to see you lose passion for something that you once loved, because if you started being a streamer or a creator, chances are it's because it was done out of passion. It wasn't done out of trying to get a paycheck. It wasn't done trying to get famous. You did it because you saw somebody else doing it and you're like, damn, that looks fun. I want to try that. So keep having fun with it. Don't let it be the thing that ruins your life. Enjoy being a streamer. Enjoy being a content creator, because it is truly one of the best jobs out there. You're incredibly fortunate to be in these positions. So just figure out how to manage your emotions, how to manage your burnout. And if you can, you got this. All right, everyone. I hope that was a good enough little ramble right here. I needed to get that off of my head because I've been dealing with it literally all week long. There's been so much going on, but I'm literally sitting here like, how can I get a video out today? I'm feeling burnt out, but I want to get a video out today. And the podcast was the perfect way for it. So once again, thank you very much for listening to Conversations right here. Let me know your thoughts with burnout down in the comments below, how you go about managing it. And I look forward to reading it in the comments. All right, take care, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.